Hello and welcome once again to another episode of Darth Tuba's Star Wars Unboxing Show. I'm your host, Darth Tuba. Check out all my videos on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, pass on the word. Reminder that our giveaway for the Darth Plagueis figure will end at 11:59 p.m. this evening, Sunday, November 5th. So make sure you comment on the video with the Darth Plagueis figure. Okay, it's the video, I think 2 videos ago, where it was all the different random 3 3/4 inch figures, and at the very end, that's the figure that I was talking about as a giveaway. Hope you'll take part in that, and I've got lots of great comments. I'll actually respond to a couple of them. We did have some members, some people watching that asked about me going on some more toy hunting videos. I will consider doing that once the product returns. We're still kind of in the Last Jedi Force Friday phase, so we'll get going with that. When the new waves start coming out. Some other people suggested some live videos. We did try that a few months ago. I think I'll give it a shot again. Just kind of waiting until my day job schedule kind of lightens up a little bit, so that I have a little time to do it at an appropriate time of day that I think people might be able to log in and check it out. So those are two comments I wanted to respond to. And again, please ask questions, make suggestions. I would love to get your thoughts and ideas about other things I could be doing, all right, with the unboxing episode. So today I had a really special one. I do not believe we have done an unboxing of this type of product. And that is a product by a company called Gentle Giant Studios, and they are a company that does a great deal of high-end to mid to high-end collectibles for things like little statues and busts and little tiny busts and things of that nature. But one thing that they've started doing, it's been a few years now since they started it, was what they would call taking vintage action figures and basically creating injected molded 12-inch versions of those figures. And they started this with Star Wars. They've since moved on to some things like G.I. Joe and Legendary Superpowers team and a few others. But I have been collecting the, I guess they call them the jumbo vintage figures. And I actually received 2 in the mail today. It's funny for anybody who does any collecting. It's hysterical. You order stuff that you place an order for something that literally will not come for 3/4 of a year, and then it just arrives in your mailbox. Yes, sometimes it'll send you an email that says they shipped it, but a lot of times you're just surprised. You see all these boxes sitting in your front porch. So as I said, we received 2 items. Okay, the first one is the Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker. Sorry for the glare. The Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight action figure. Okay, and I'm going to do one figure at a time just because there's not a lot of room in my screen space. So basically, as you can see, for those who've never seen these before, they've taken the exact figure and they've just essentially blown it up to a 12-inch size. And it's the exact copy. They've tried to emulate the same fabric of the cloth, if there's any cloth good. They reproduced the weapons as well, and they essentially created a 12-inch version of the figure. Now, I like this for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons I like it is that it's a great throwback to the vintage line, and it's a great way to collect the vintage line. I like it that the way they have it boxed is that you can actually unbox it and then rebox it. I do take them out of the box, but I do keep hold of the boxes if I ever decide someday to want to sell them, or just maybe when I leave them to my family, or when I've entered the way of the Force, or whatever as I call it, they would have that option as well. So there's a nice option there. But another really cool thing I like about it is that it's kind of a throwback to the vintage 12-inch line, meaning back in 1978, in addition to the 3 3/4 inch figures, Kenner, released a 12-inch line about all the main characters. And while they weren't exact replicas of the 3 3/4 inch, a lot of them had very similar setups. The 5 points of articulation, that type of thing. And I just think it's a really nice kind of throwback to that. So why don't we take this one out? The only thing that they have here that's a little bit of a challenge is that they have some taped up tops and sides. You might also see a little bit of styrofoam, because when they come in the mail, they come with those styrofoam packing peanuts. But it's a really nice case, and as you can see, if you look on the back, it actually has a kind of it's a reproduction of, but enlarged, of course, reproduction of the card back. And yes, this is appropriate. This is the correct card back for. Actually, no, this is not the correct card back. This is a card back for how many figures they have available in the jumbo size. That's an important thing to understand. It doesn't follow the same order as the figures that came out originally. You can see they have 52 figures. I do believe I've collected pretty much all of them. There are a couple that I'm still waiting on. But you also see on the front. Now, I will say that obviously they did not create the card to be in scale to the figure. If that were the case, the card would probably be more like this big. Okay, then that's just too much. That's too big. Even this takes up a lot of room, even in storage. So, they do the best they can with them. But I think they're really neat. Some people think that some people like them better than others. Some people think that they're not really a necessary thing. They don't have to be necessary. Just fun. All right. So now there is a little bit of a challenge in getting them out. We do have a couple of twist ties here, so if you want to get them back in the package officially, you're going to have to play work a little bit on getting the twists back into place. But even if you I would think that even if you just want to put it back into the general setup, it'd be good. I remember my vintage Luke Skywalker action figure from this is like 1983 or 4, and I remember my figure was kind of played with quite a bit, and as a result, his face, actually, the paint scheme on his face kind of came off, which was disappointing, honestly. But I did over the years, to replace them. So this is a little bit loud, so I apologize. There we go. Okay. Had this interesting cloak. It's kind of interesting to think about. This is the first time we saw Luke. This is the first image. Okay, I'm just trying to get his setup here. The one thing I wish that they would come up with the Gentle Giant is the weight seems to be a little bit off. Like I have to bend him over. Okay, well, that's pretty good. There he goes. All right, now he does have a couple of pieces here. He has the green lightsaber. Cool moment for us Star Wars fans was to see the Luke Skywalker come out in the third movie and all of a sudden light up the green lightsaber. Of course, that was not something that was. Let's get this right here, guys. Go back in. That's not something I would say was a spoiler, because again, we had no internet back then, folks. All we had were the comic books and the storybook that came out, and then usually came out a little bit before the movie came out. We saw some pictures of Luke Skywalker with his green lightsaber, so we knew it was coming. All right, now another issue that does come up from time to time involving this injected molding is the hands. All right, we have a weapon. Okay, this is the Luke Skywalker's pistol that he borrowed, and that is something that we kind of find ourselves dealing with. We deal with this thing where it's really not, unlike say the what we did in the last couple episodes, the Hot Toys figures where you can actually bend their fingers. This thing doesn't really give you a lot of option. So unfortunately, aside from a very gentle holding of it, you're not going to get much there. And then of course, this is okay. Actually, that's not too bad. All right, so you put him there, and I'll tell you, Luke Skywalker made the greatest in the eyes of this Star Wars fan. His entrance was the greatest entrance of a sequel returning character. Think about this. In the scene, first of all, the movie had been going on for a while, right? We had seen Vader, we had seen C-3PO and R2, we had seen Han and Carbonite, we had seen Leia, first as a bounty hunter in disguise, and then with Chewie. We've seen all of our main characters. Even Lando showed up, right? We saw everybody. The only one we hadn't seen was Luke. Luke showed up. Those Jabba Palace doors open up, and all you see is a silhouette of him coming. You know it's him. I don't know. As a kid, I just knew it was him because of the fact that everybody else had already showed up in the movie. So, unless it was the spirit of Ben Kenobi, it had to be Luke. And what's the first thing he did when he first comes up? The two Gamorrean pig guards kind of block him with their axes, and he force chokes them. He force chokes them. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, man, Luke Skywalker has become a bad you-know-what. And not that I thought he was a bad guy. Not that I thought he was a villain. I didn't think that. I just thought he was much more serious. He was a different Luke. This was not the Luke we saw in the first two movies. And it's because of that, and I've mentioned this on previous episodes, it's because of that I kind of feel like everyone's looking at the way Luke Skywalker has been portrayed in the Last Jedi trailer. I think that is a natural progression for him based on what we saw in Return of the Jedi. I really do. So I'm really excited to see where he goes from this. I'm happy that that this figure came in the mail when it did. You can take the cloak off and just have it be on display without it. He's got that little tunic thing on the inside, that's molded in. It's not a separate cloth piece. So aside from you got to be careful with the weaponry. Okay, all the Jumbo figures, the weapons tend to be kind of hit or miss. Some of them stay in, some of them don't. So you just got to be careful with that. All right, so there's Luke Skywalker. Now, we mentioned this a character too. We're going to continue on with the Return of the Jedi movie. However, we're going to go to a different toy series, and we're going to deal with Han Solo and Carbonite. This is actually technically two figures in one. It's Han Solo, but it's also, I believe, the action figure itself behind the block of Carbonite. So you can have it display one or the other. You'll also notice that this one comes with a coin because this is the Power of the Force line. See, when Star Wars had finished launching had Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. After Return of the Jedi, we were starting to get a little bit of a wane in interest in Star Wars. So Kenner tried to drum up a new way to do it. This is the first time that they had no movie to go with. So they launched the Power of the Force line, where they re-released old figures, but they included a bunch of new figures too that each came with a coin. So that was a kind of a neat thing. Now, as a collector, I was really excited about it. I was still, let's see, in the 80s. I guess you could say I was a middle school kid. So I was growing out of Star Wars, but I was still really excited about this. I thought, oh, cool! They had these new, they had Han and Carbonite. They had Luke Skywalker with Stormtrooper mask. They had a bunch of neat, interesting figures. That they hadn't gotten around to getting the first time around. But sadly, this wasn't a very popular line, so a lot of the stuff went on clearance. Ironically, it's very hard to, these are among the more expensive toys collectively to get because of the coin and because there's just more to the figures. But that was kind of the beginning of the end, or temporarily the end, for the Star Wars line was here. There was a Droids and Ewok line from their cartoon series, but they also, didn't really have a lot of interest from collectors. So this one was a cool one because it came with the only, prior to this in the 80s, the only Han and Carbonite we ever got was the it came with the Slave One vehicle. There was a Slave One vehicle and it came with a Han Solo. The problem is, it wasn't even a full-sized Han Solo. It was a partial-sized Han Solo. So that was a kind of disappointing. But, we made the most of it. All right, so nice thing about this one is that it is pretty easy to... see if I can get this guy right out of this. Yep. I'm going to put this guy right there. Excuse me, Han. We'll let you just... If I get through this without knocking Luke over, it'll be a miracle. I'm going to pull the coin out, too. Come on, coin. coin is being difficult. That is a heavy piece of molded metal plastic. Yeah, it is a heavy coin. The coins in real life, the actual coins were really just a cheap plastic. They were very, they metallic looking. But it had Han Solo carbonite. Then it had a little backdrop about him. Smuggler captured by the bounty hunter Boba Fett, and frozen because he owed money to the evil Jabba the Hutt. May the Force be with you. So, a cool little tidbit. So when I display them, I usually display the coin at the bottom. Okay, and then this one looks like it only has 2 twist ties, so that's nice. Makes things a little bit easier on our end. We're real excited. That was another moment in our people my age in our childhood. Is I don't know about other people. I was kind of naive, but when I saw Empire Strikes Back, I was 10, and so now you all know my age. But when I saw it, I was so caught up in it that I couldn't believe that they froze Han Solo. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I was not accepting that reality that Han Solo could possibly be be possibly killed, possibly, put in the carbon freezing and not get rescued for the episode. I was under the impression that we're still not done yet. We still have a little ways to go. So, I was waiting, and all of a sudden the music, at the end when you see Luke and Leia at the medical frigate with R2 and 3PO, and Lando's getting in this Falcon to go find Chewbacca, I thought the movie was going to keep going. And I was just sitting there waiting, okay, next scene. And then the music starts to swell up, and I'm starting to think, this feels like it might be wrapping up. This doesn't seem right. And then it's and you see the credits roll, and I'm just like, oh my God, you have just destroyed me. I cannot believe that this one's got saran wrap on them. You have just destroyed me. I cannot believe that you are not going to bring back Han Solo for this movie. I have to wait 3 years to find out what happened, if he survived. It's crazy. So this is really just a molded piece of plastic, okay, right here. Ooh. Well, that's not good. A piece of it just came off. Okay. Well, this is I will say this is a very, very thin piece. And there was kind of a grip in the center here that I can actually place, if you could rest Han in like that. So you can display him like that. But unfortunately, the piece that I just had came right off. It just snapped, and I barely touched it. So that's unfortunate. So if you want to display it like this, which is kind of hard to do, but if you wanted to, you would have to either use one of those twist ties to kind of keep them tied up inside, wrap around it, or come up with another way to, build something here on the back to do that. But nonetheless, you can just, I would recommend, by itself it'll probably flip forward. I think I remember that about the actual toy too. If you lean it up against a back piece, like a wall like that, you'll probably be better off, okay? So, I'm going to lay him down like this. The figure itself, ironically, wasn't much to write home about. I mean, don't even believe he may have come with a weapon, but I don't think he did originally. It's just a Han Solo with no jacket. It's his pants and his shirt and his boots, and that's it. So by itself, it's okay. It's not a bad figure. I think the real true display, awesome part about it is this, to have this display with it. Okay, so, and as I said, one nice thing too, if you do kind of hold it together like this. All right, come on, Han, get with the program here. See, the figures, the jumbo figures have to bend forward a little bit. You can just display it like that, okay, which if you want to do that, although it's really hard to make out the Han Solo figure. So if you do it like that, you can bring it down like that. As I said, leaning this up against a wall. So that will work. All right. Except this Han Solo figure was a little bit unusual looking. But then again, I'm looking at eyes now where, all the hundreds of figures that have come out since have been very accurate, down to the smallest detail. So that was really cool. So the jumbo figures, really awesome. A lot of fun. Great nostalgic trip. They're a little pricey. I think For the most part, I mean, I order a lot of them through Gentle Giant. I've done many things through there that I get like reward points and things like that. And sometimes you can find discount codes and things. I also do the Premier Guild, so I can get a free gift, and sometimes one of these will be a free gift. So, but at the same time, at the end of the day, you got to decide if this is something you want. I mean, I remember the first one they ever came out with, I think it was a Stormtrooper, and then Boba Fett. And I said to myself, if I buy one, I'm going to want to collect them all. And sure enough, that's kind of where it's been going. Thankfully, they seem to have pulled back a little bit. It doesn't look like at the moment they're going to make every single figure. So I think they've kind of, maybe they've seen sales, dictate that they don't want to do every single one. So they're just doing, special ones or exclusives or things like that. So that's cool. But love the figures. Liking Luke a little bit better, just because the Han is just kind of plain. But they're both really cool. The display here is neat. Okay, the Han and Carbonite is really cool. It is a little more funny that the way it's set up, it's not like the way it was in the movie where his hands were kind of up like this. Okay, they kind of just molded the figure right here so that you can just kind of place him inside of it. So, but that's a really cool thing, and that will do it for this episode of Darth Tuba's Unboxing Show. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, comment, especially if you're interested in the giveaway. Comment the episode, I think it's 2 episodes ago, okay, where we were talking about the 3 3/4 inch figures. Just look for the one with all the comments in it, and you'll see that's the one that people are commenting. I'll pick a randomizer, choose a winner, and I'll announce it at the next episode that I drop. Okay, so thank you so much. Check out, subscribe to my, Darth Tuba on Star Wars Unboxing page on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Darth Tuba. Email me darthtuba77@gmail.com. Thank you so much. More videos are coming, but until then, may the Force be with you.